Still reading Pleasantries. What's pleasant about it? Pleasantries. Is that the halwa?
Pleasantries, they call it
Halwa.
pleasantries.
Halwa. The reward. Nasrudin had some good news for the king, and after a great deal of difficulty managed to gain an audience, although by tradition every subject theoretically had the right to immediate access to the court. The king was pleased with what he had been told. "Choose your reward," he said. 50 lashes, said Nasrudin. Puzzled, the king ordered that Nasrudin be beaten. When 25 strokes had been administered, Nasrudin called, "Stop. Now," he said, "bring in my partner and give him the other half of the reward." "The chamberlain, your majesty, would not allow me to see you unless I would swear to give him exactly half of anything that I got as a result of my good news." The guy was bribed. The guy was trying to get a cut. Interesting.
There was corruption.
Corruption. Interesting, and corruption. The high cost of learning. Nasrudin decided that he could benefit by learning something new. He went to see a master musician. "How much do you charge to teach lute playing?" 3 silver pieces for the first month. After that, 1 silver piece a month." "Excellent," said Nasrudin. "I shall begin with the second month."
It's like they have a whole meal in a restaurant, and the dessert is free, and then
start with the dessert,
down and she orders the dessert alone.
We're having readings with Nasrudin with halwa, Greek halwa, not Arabic halwa. It's Greek halwa. The spiritual teacher, the wizened sage from beyond Askak, a far-off eastern land, had arrived in the village. His philosophical expositions were so obtuse and yet so tantalizing that the entire company in the tea-house soon became convinced that he could perhaps unveil for them the mysteries of life.
You say you are buying those things now?
Leave it.
You're not buying those things again, David.
Nasrudin listened to him for a while. "You know," he said, "I had experiences something like yours on your travels. I, too, have been a wandering teacher. Tell me something about it, if you must," said the elder, somewhat ruffled at the interruption. "Oh, yes, I must," said the Mulla. He continued, "For instance, there was the trip which I took through Kurdistan. I was welcomed everywhere I went. I stayed at one monastery after another where the dervishes listened eagerly to me. I was given free lodging at caravanserai, free food at tea houses. Everywhere the people were impressed with me." The ancient monk was becoming impatient at all this personal publicity. "Did nobody ever oppose anything you said at any time?" he asked curiously. "Oh, yes," said Nasrudin. "Once I was beaten up and put in the stocks and driven out of town." "Why was that?" "Well, you see, the people there happened to understand Turkish, the language I was doing my teaching in." "What about the people who had welcomed you?" "Oh, they were Kurds. They have a language of their own, and I was so safe so long as I was with them." As long as he was in a foreign and didn't speak the language, he was safe. Strange. Hot soup, cold hands. A man who had heard that Nasrudin was very wise decided to make a journey to see him. "I can learn something from such a sage as this," he thought, "and there must be a method in his madness, if one can only find the constant factor which must run through it. I have, after all, studied long and visited many metaphysical schools. This will enable me to judge and to learn where others have failed. Accordingly, he undertook the long, tiresome journey to Nasrudin's teeny house perched on a mountain ledge. Looking in through the window, he saw Nasrudin huddled beside a feeble fire blowing into his cupped hands. As soon as he was admitted, he asked the Mulla what he was been doing. Warming my hands with my breath, Nasrudin told him. After that, neither party started any conversation, and the seeker wondered whether Nasrudin would vouchsafe any of his wisdom after all. Presently, Nasrudin's wife brought 2 bowls of broth. Nasrudin immediately started blowing upon the surface of the broth. I may now learn something, said the seeker to himself. Aloud he said, What are you doing, teacher? Blowing on my broth to cool it with my breath, said the Mulla. The man is undoubtedly a fraud and probably a liar, said the visitor inwardly. First he blows for hot, then he blows for cold. How can I believe anything he may say to me? And he went away. The time has not been wasted, he told himself as he made his way back along the mountain road, for I have at least established that Nasrudin is no teacher.
So you know that he can do that?
He's not a teacher.
And yet he said you can do cool and
You can.
warm up also.
It says is no teacher. You can cool and warm with the same. Strange that you can cool and warm with the same.
Warm and
Cool.
And it's cool. It's interesting, eh?
You can warm and
you can
cool.
blow like a fan and cool off
Hot soup and cold hands.
your soup, and then you can warm up your hands. You see how?
A word for it. Hearing that a man wanted to learn the Kurdish language, Nasrudin offered to teach him. Nasrudin's own knowledge of Kurdish was limited to a few words. Dear, we will start with the words for hot soup, said the Mullah. In Kurdish, this is ash. I don't quite understand, Mullah. How would you say cold soup? You never say cold soup. The Kurds like their soup hot. You don't say.
Nobody wants cold soup.
Science now. You like science? A scientist and a logician met Nasrudin and wrangled with him as they walked along a road. Wrangled with him. Nasrudin was hard-pressed. The scientist said, I cannot accept anything as existing unless I carry out a test. Unless I see it with my own eyes. The logician said, I cannot accept anything unless I have worked it out in theory beforehand. Suddenly, Nasrudin knelt down and started to pour something into a lake beside the road. What are you doing? They asked again. You know how yogurt multiplies when you put it into milk. Well, I'm adding a little yogurt to this water. But you can't make yogurt that way. I know, but just supposing it takes.
Disaster?
Supposing it takes.
Supposing it takes.
It might. You never know. It could work. I don't know.
He wanted to do their experiments.
The yogurt. He's making yogurt.
I mean, he wanted to.
A question is an answer. Why do you always answer a question with another question, Mulla? Do I?
Do I? Listen to the question again.
Do I? Do I?
He's still questioning.
Aren't we all? Where are you going, Nasrudin? I'm looking for my donkey. Yeah. Where aren't we all? The value of truth. If you want truth, Nasrudin told a group of seekers who had come to hear his teachings, you will have to pay for it. But why should you have to pay for something like truth? Asked one of the company. Have you not noticed, said Nasrudin, that it is the scarcity of a thing which determines its value?
Smart. It was very scarce to have it.
Huh?
It seems everybody was a liar, but then. How far did you put the history there?
69, huh? We are reading Mulla Nasrudin, who is a Sufi humorist. By Idries Shah, the Pleasantries of Incredible Mulla Humor. Nasrudin. His name is Hoodja. What else you say about him, dear? That's it, folks.